Welcome back to Comic Cappers. Today we will be capping Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 3. With that said, grab a snack, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. We move from the high-stakes warnings of the Tetracide to the quiet halls of the Gateway City Natural History Museum, where the world is just starting to realize something is horribly wrong. A crowd gathers around a screen watching grainy footage of Diana in action. The confusion is palpable. They have no idea what she's up against or why she's fighting it. Barbara Minerva, clearly out of her element and clutching her coffee, is completely mesmerized. She's analyzing the fight with an academic's eye, struggling to identify Diana's tactics as the situation escalates. Caught in a daze, Barbara finally identifies the warrior on screen, but her shock is cut short as her colleagues realize she's just bolted, leaving them behind. Gateway City is under siege, and the scale of the threat is immediately apparent as Diana looms over the boardwalk, dwarfed only by the looming presence of the Tetracide. Inside the military command post, Diana leans over the map, her magical prosthetic arm clearly visible. She's honest about her limitations, admitting that while she's managed to slow the beast down, even her sorceress upbringing, taught by Circe, struggles against this cosmic horror. Diana shifts the tone from tactical to grim, urging the soldiers to evacuate immediately. She's not just giving orders, she's preparing them for a world without her, bluntly detailing the four-part nature of their impending doom. A soldier questions the death of fear, naively thinking it sounds like a mercy. Diana's reaction is immediate and chilling. Diana locks eyes with the man, her expression intense and haunting. She warns that losing the ability to fear is the most dangerous trap of all, especially here in the heart of a crowded city. Diana's explanation takes on a terrifying, mythic quality, illustrated as if carved onto an ancient vase. She reveals that the death of fear isn't a mercy, it's a psychological lobotomy that strips away survival instincts, leaving victims helpless and magnetically drawn to the approaching sonic signal. The imagery shifts to the inevitable outcome, a swarm of people mindlessly shuffling toward the beast. Diana compares them to bees drawn to honey, describing the horrific reality where the Tetracide's sonic lure triggers a literal stampede into its waiting jaws. The carnage is absolute. Diana notes with grim, dark pragmatism that those trampled to death in the frantic, hypnotic rush to the creatures are actually the lucky ones, spared the true, agonizing fate that awaits those who reach it. Diana pulls no punches, detailing the final stages of the Tetracide cycle. If you survive the initial siren call, direct contact with the entity initiates a total breakdown of mind, body, and soul. It's a chilling, matter-of-fact warning, and she pleads for the soldiers to prioritize the evacuation above all else. Back in the present, the weight of the moment hits home. Steve Trevor tries to interrupt, but Diana is already moving, her focus locked on the looming disaster. She knows the sound is coming, and time has officially run out. Diana stands on the shore with her skeletal steed, Pegasus, bracing for the inevitable. She's not just preparing for a fight, she's issuing tactical orders to keep her only ally out of the monster's reach. There's a heavy, somber tone here as Diana comforts the creature. She knows the stakes of this confrontation. This isn't a battle where resurrection is guaranteed, especially with Zeus watching from the shadows. Diana takes to the sky, radiating defiance. She issues a final, formal ultimatum to the Tetracide: leave now or face a brutal end at her hands. It's a classic warrior's challenge, but directed at a cosmic horror. Diana descends directly into the abyss, plunging into the center of the Tetracide's writhing, sonic-infused maw to confront the nightmare head-on. Diana's eyes lock onto her target with cold, calculated resolve. Her ultimatum has been rejected and she's done talking. She lunges with desperate, raw power, driving her massive blade deep into the creature's hide. This isn't a graceful strike, it's a brutal, heavy impact meant to cripple a cosmic god. As the Tetracide lets out a deafening, reality-bending shriek, Diana coils her lasso around the beast, desperately calling upon the goddess Nike for the speed she needs to survive this onslaught. The Tetracide is losing its composure. Diana's lasso wraps around the beast in glowing, red coils as Pegasus provides aerial support with a burst of hellfire, forcing the creature to shriek in genuine agony. Diana doesn't let up for a second. She drives her blade directly into a tentacle, the impact sparking with raw, crackling kinetic energy. As the creature continues its sonic assault, Diana shifts her focus. She whispers a phrase in Greek, "trusted friend," to the weapon in her hand, signaling that the real work is just beginning. Diana channels her focus, treating her blade like a trusted partner as she launches a precise strike into the heart of the beast. The arc of her blade cuts through the Tetracide's defenses with surgical precision, carving through the creature's thick, pulsating mass. She follows up instantly, delivering a brutal, decisive chop that severs another tentacle, keeping the pressure on this cosmic horror. But the Tetracide isn't just a physical threat. As Diana pushes her advantage, the creature reacts with a desperate, jarring surge of power that catches her off guard. We pull back from the present day to a flashback of the Wild Isle in Hell. It's a brutal, formative moment where Diana and Steve are fighting for their lives against a monstrous Hydra. Steve is in the thick of it, hacking away at the creature's massive, constricting coils, his physical effort clear as he fights to stay upright. The Hydra lets out a deafening, reality-warping shriek. Diana, realizing the sonic danger, screams for Steve to get clear before the beast can overwhelm them. Diana turns her full attention to the beast, confronting it directly. She doesn't just see a monster, she sees an entity she can bargain with, challenging its very nature. In a moment of surprising diplomacy amidst the carnage, Diana offers the beast a way out, promising that if it lets Steve go, they can end this cycle of violence, a glimpse into the mercy that defines her, even in hell. With the battle against the Hydra behind them, Diana and Steve find a moment of quiet by a campfire. Diana reflects on the brutal necessity of their fight, admitting that while she doesn't know if the beast understood her, it certainly understood the sheer strength she had to display to survive. Steve jokingly suggests the creature might have been taken with her, but Diana shuts that down immediately. It's a sharp, grounded exchange that highlights Diana's pragmatic, almost detached view of her harsh upbringing in hell. Steve looks around at their bleak, dangerous surroundings, struck by the irony that Diana and her mentor Cersei have managed to carve out something resembling a home here. He's clearly trying to reconcile the monster-filled reality with the woman sitting across from him. Diana leans into the weight of his observation, offering a rare, philosophical insight. She believes love is the only thing that can truly transform a place, and she clearly wishes the surface world had a bit more of that warmth. She quickly pivots to clarify she's talking about human connection, not the monstrous hydras they've been fighting. In a moment of genuine intimacy, she turns the conversation towards Steve's past, asking if he misses his home. Steve opens up, painting a vivid picture of Gateway City at sunset. The way he describes the light dancing on the Pacific, comparing it to his mother's laugh, is a beautifully humanizing beat that shows just how much he's lost, and how much he still carries with him. Back in their makeshift home in hell, the atmosphere is deceptively domestic. Cersei, Diana's mother, directs Steve to fetch firewood, clearly trying to get him out of the room so she and Diana can have a private conversation. With Steve out of earshot, Diana reveals she's been scouring ancient texts and believes she's finally found the ritual required to send him back to Gateway City. She approaches Cersei with the book, the air thick with the weight of her discovery. Cersei's reaction is immediate and visceral. She doesn't just disagree, she is horrified by what she sees in the text. Diana is insistent, but Cersei's desperate refusal suggests that the cost of this spell is far higher than Diana is willing to acknowledge. Cersei's warning is chillingly blunt. She forces Diana to confront the text itself, emphasizing that the ritual for Steve's departure isn't just a simple spell, it's a transaction that demands a heavy price. Diana's cold, unwavering response shows she hasn't just skimmed the instructions, she has internalized the cost and is already prepared to pay it. Cersei refuses to accept Diana's resolve, insisting that if Diana truly grasped the magnitude of the sacrifice, she wouldn't be so calm about it. But Diana is resolute, her conviction is absolute, suggesting she has already made her choice regardless of the consequences. Steve enters, completely oblivious to the heavy, magical tension filling the room. He makes a light-hearted remark about his confinement, unknowingly highlighting the tragic irony that he's asking for freedom, while Diana is actively plotting to give it to him at the cost of her own self. Diana meets his gaze, her reply masking the weight of her decision. It's a moment of quiet, bittersweet intimacy that underscores the stakes of their bond. Diana is in a restless sleep, her mind clearly haunted by the heavy choice looming over her. The silence of the night is thick, serving as a prelude to the inevitable confrontation with her own destiny. She stirs, half-waking from the weight of her thoughts. The struggle isn't just physical, it's a deep, internal conflict that won't let her rest. She finds herself drawn back to the ritual materials. Even in the dead of night, Diana is consumed by the necessity of the spell, unable to distance herself from the sacrifice she knows she must make. Cersei catches her in the act, her voice cutting through the dark. She finds Diana hunched over, clearly disturbed by the burden of what she's planning to do. Diana's admission is hauntingly simple. She isn't just overthinking, she is locked in a cycle of obsession, fixated on the cost of Steve's freedom and the role she must play to secure it. Cersei presses Diana, asking what she's become so obsessed with. Diana's response is cold and prophetic, fixated on her own transformation into something far more dangerous than just a warrior. The perspective shifts to a tight, intimate close-up of Diana under her hood. She articulates her warped sense of purpose. If she is to be a savior of humanity, she cannot fail in this singular, self-imposed mission. Cersei is genuinely unsettled by the word mission. It's a clinical military term that feels completely alien in the context of their life in hell. Diana doubles down, revealing her true motivation. It's not about kindness or mercy, it's about returning a great hero to the world, believing that one good man is the key to saving everything. Cersei attempts to reframe the arrival of Steve Trevor as a simple gift, but Diana cuts her off with a chilling realization. Steve wasn't a gift, he was a test. Diana's cold, calculated logic reaches its terrifying conclusion. She isn't just talking about abstract heroism anymore, she's framing her own body as a tactical resource to be spent, and then the horrifying reveal. The cost of the spell to send Steve home wasn't just energy or magic, it was physical. Diana has severed her own arm, a sacrifice she deems worthy to ensure her mission succeeds. Cersei is left in absolute shock, forced to confront the gruesome reality of what her student has become. Diana, however, remains completely unmoved, dismissing the trauma with a chilling, hollow sense of duty. Cersei watches from a distance, her internal monologue reflecting on the sheer scale of what she's witnessing. She admits she always knew Diana was exceptional, but even the sorceress is taken aback by the intensity of this moment. Cersei continues her assessment, realizing that for all her lessons, she had severely underestimated the depth of Diana's drive. As the magical ritual intensifies, Cersei catalogues the virtues Diana is displaying. It's a moment of profound realization. Diana's capacity for love is the engine behind this madness. Cersei calls out to her, witnessing the physical toll. She recognizes that this isn't just a spell, it's a crucible of agony. Diana endures, her expression locked in a mask of intense focus. Cersei observes the price of this mission, a capacity for sacrifice that defies common sense. As Steve vanishes into the portal, Diana remains standing on the shore. Cersei notes her capacity for honor, finally acknowledging that this child is destined to alter the course of reality. Cersei reflects on her scrying pool visions versus the raw, visceral truth before her. She acknowledges the finality of the departure, realizing that Diana's conviction is far more potent than any magic she's ever encountered. Diana is caught in the crushing coils of the Tetracide, but her focus remains absolute. She isn't just fighting for survival, she's fighting for a location. With a guttural roar, she commands the battlefield, demanding to be taken to Gateway City. She slips into a trance-like state, channeling a raw, ancient incantation. She's not just using brute strength anymore. She's tapping into the hellish magic that defined her upbringing to force the creature's hand. The magic takes hold, crackling with violent energy as Diana tears herself free. She hits the ground ready for the next strike, eyes glowing with a supernatural intensity that shows she's done playing defense. Diana stands in the aftermath of her return, her missing limb exposed. When questioned, she dismisses the shock with a cold, matter-of-fact tone, explaining that this is a magical construct forged by her and Cersei, and that restoration is possible, though difficult. She immediately pivots back to the immediate threat, cutting through the military's hesitation. She confronts Jacoby, demanding to know if her warnings about the Tetracide were misunderstood, and orders an immediate evacuation. A close-up shows the mechanical prosthetic arm, emitting a faint, magical energy as it hums with a distinct sound. Steve looks on, clearly shaken by the sight of her injury and the raw reality of the cost she's paid. Diana focuses on her gear, the final, mechanical sound of her arm locking into place underscoring her resolve. Steve stares at the metallic limb that cost Diana so much, finally connecting the dots. He realizes this is the exact price she paid to tear him out of hell and bring him home. Diana corrects him with that signature, regally detached precision. It wasn't just a hero's arm, it was a warrior's, crafted for a singular, brutal purpose. Steve is visibly overcome with the weight of her sacrifice. He touches the cold metal, acknowledging the profound debt he carries. Diana snaps back to the tactical reality. The Tetracide's sonic influence is already manifesting as a terrifying vibration on the beach, and she knows the military's hesitation will be their undoing. She pushes them to evacuate with lethal urgency. Steve pleads with her, desperate not to leave her to face the horror alone. Diana's response is cold but deeply honest. She saved him because he was worthy, but that sacrifice is meaningless if she falls today. Barbara Minerva finally connects the dots, recognizing the warrior standing before her as the stuff of her own academic research. She confronts Diana, questioning if she is truly an Amazon, a champion of legend. Diana doesn't have time for a history lesson. She dismisses the academic label of myth and cements their connection with a quick introduction before rushing back into the fray. As Diana leaps into action, the sonic screech of the Tetracide intensifies. She processes the realization that she's now become a part of the history Barbara studies, yet her focus remains entirely on the immediate, lethal threat. Diana stands alone on the beach, dwarfed by the massive, pulsating form of the Tetracide. She's staring down an impossible reality, internalizing the grim truth that a direct assault is a suicide mission that leaves the city defenseless. She quickly dismisses the idea of a brute force charge. She knows her blade and lasso won't penetrate that thick hide, leaving her searching for a magical alternative before the monster can act. Diana realizes the true horror of the Tetracide's sonic attack. It's not just a weapon, it's a psychological trap that will force the citizens of Gateway City into a lethal, self-destructive frenzy. Focusing on her magical prosthetic, she begins to formulate a desperate plan. It's not about raw power, she needs to widen the reach of her magic, amplifying it 1,000-fold to counter the sonic threat. Back in the city, a news reporter is mid-broadcast when the reality of the situation hits him. Diana suddenly appears on camera, seizing the moment to recruit the media to help her execute her plan. Diana stands on a rooftop overlooking Gateway City, the massive, tentacled Tetracide looming in the distance. She immediately asserts control over the news crew, ordering them to cut the feed. One of the cameramen is clearly rattled, breaking the professional barrier to ask why she's suppressing the broadcast at such a critical moment. Diana explains her strategy with chilling, pragmatic clarity. She knows that revealing the supernatural truth would only trigger mass panic, and she needs the public calm to avoid feeding the Tetracide's psychological trap. She also adds a firm warning about the sanctity of magic, reminding them that such power isn't meant for just anyone. Even the skeptical crew members are disarmed by her conviction. They realize they aren't just dealing with a hero, but a strategist who understands the weight of what's coming. Diana takes command of the airwaves, speaking directly into the camera with an unnerving, regal calm. She introduces herself to the people of Gateway City, laying out the brutal reality of the Tetracide, a monster that doesn't just want to kill them, but intends to force them into self-sacrifice through a lethal sonic signal. She doesn't mince words about the stakes. The military evacuation is failing, and the only way to shield the population from the creature's siren song is a radical, magical solution. She's going to render the entire city deaf. It's an extreme measure, but in Diana's mind, it's the only path to survival. The news crew watches stunned as their broadcast becomes a tool for salvation. The weight of the situation settles on them as they realize they aren't just filming a hero, but a strategist orchestrating a mass-scale survival plan. Diana closes her message with a final, piercing appeal. She knows skepticism is high, but she demands calm and human connection as the only remaining defense. By positioning herself as a protector who believes in them, she transforms the populace from victims into active participants in their own rescue, ending on a note of absolute, unwavering conviction. Diana makes her final request to the news crew, insisting they loop her message of hope rather than the terrifying reality of the Tetracide. She's not just giving an order, she's entrusting them with the psychological stability of Gateway City. With the broadcast handled, Diana wastes no time. She slams her magical prosthetic arm into the ground, initiating the spell that will deafen the city and shield the populace from the creature's sonic assault. The magical energy erupts, cascading over the entire skyline like a sickly, protective shroud. As the green glow envelops Gateway City, we're left with a haunting promise of what's to come, the sound of silence. And that unfortunately concludes our comic cap for today. Diana is willing to magically deafen an entire city to save them from the Tetracide, but is this extreme sacrifice a sign of a true hero or a dangerous overreach of her power? Let me know your answer in the comments section down below. Be sure to subscribe and press that notification bell for daily comic caps. Until next time, take care, brush your hair, I'll see you when I see you, peace.